As I've previously described, you can only have one server application listening on a particular port at a time. A port is just a unique number, and there's an agreement between an application that's sending a message and one receiving it about which number to listen on. You can run multiple HTTP servers, for example, but only one of them can listen on the standard port, port 80. Others have to be configured to listen on unique ports. And if you try to run more than one on a particular port, you get a port conflict. I'll show you how to recognize and then how to resolve port conflicts on Microsoft Windows. I have both Apache and WAMP server installed on my computer right now. Apache is installed in the /Apache directory, and it's been set up as a Windows service. The WAMP server applications are here on the system tray, and if I go to localhost, I see that WAMP server is running. Now, I'm going to try to start the Apache service from the command line. I'll type net start Apache 2.4. I get a message, System Error 5 has occurred. Access is denied. That doesn't tell me very much, so I'm going to close that command prompt, and I'll reopen the command prompt, this time as administrator. Once again, I'll type net start Apache 2.4, and this time there's a bit of a pause, and then I get back a little bit more information, but still not that much. Finally, I'll switch over to the Apache directory, and I'll try to start up the HTTP server from the command line. And this time I get the message only one usage of each socket address is normally permitted. So this tells me exactly what's happening. I have a port conflict. Now let's say I don't remember having run WAMP server in the background, or maybe it's not WAMP server, maybe it's Internet Information Services, or some other application that's reserved port 80. Here's how I can find out which software is doing it. I'll type this command, netstat-a-o. This gives me a list of all the applications on my computer that are working with ports. Now notice in this column that the activity differs from one application to another. I'm only interested in applications that are listening on various ports. I'll press Ctrl-C and that stops that command. Then I'll press the up arrow to repeat the command, and this time I'll add in a pipe character, and then find, and in quotes, the word listening in all uppercase. And now I only see applications that are listening. I'll press Ctrl-C again, and then repeat the command again, and now I only want to see applications that are listening on port 80. So I'll add in another pipe character and find, and then in quotes, :80. And this time I get back a message saying, here's the application that's listening. I don't see the actual application name, but in the far right column I see the process ID. The process ID will differ from one computer to the next, and it will change every time you run a server. So on my computer it turned out as 9336, on yours it'll be different. To find out what application that is, I'll go to the Task Manager. I'll right-click on my taskbar and open the Task Manager. And if you don't see all these detail listings, on Windows 8 and higher, you can click on the More Details link to open this up. Then I'll click on the Details tab, and I'll sort by the process ID by clicking at the top of the column. Then I'll just scroll down and find the process ID I saw, and there it is, 9336, and it tells me that I have a version of HTTPD running. It doesn't tell me which one it is or where it is on disk, but it's a great hint. It tells me that I have another copy of the Apache server that's currently listening on that port. I'll go over to the WAMP server admin menu, and I'll click Stop All Services, and watch here, you'll see the HTTPD process goes away. Now I'll come back to my command prompt, and once again I'll try to start my service, and this time the Apache service starts successfully. I'll come back to the Task Manager, and I see httpd.exe once again with two processes, and now with different process IDs. It looks exactly the same as it did with WAMP server, but now I'm running the individual software installation instead of the bundled version that comes with WAMP server. So this is the critical command, netstat-a-o, find listening, find :80. Type it exactly as you see it here and include the double quotes where I've included them, and it makes it very easy to find out what other software is listening on your ports and creating your port conflicts.